I'm Gerald C Rivers. I'm an actor, a voiceover artist. I'm also a master drummer, which means I teach West African djembe, hand drumming, to kids and adults. But I'm also a motivational speaker, and I am considered by many to be one of the world's foremost students and scholars on the words and works of the late, great Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. So I travel the country and the world doing renditions of his speeches and teaching people about Dr. King. I am first and foremost an actor. I was a student in college at the Los Angeles City College here in LA, and I competed in forensics, speech and debate. And I was doing a piece that needed to combine several different genres under a particular theme. And I was speaking on death, ironically enough, and found Shakespeare's To Be or Not to Be. And I listened to Sir Laurence Olivier in a recording I got from the library. And in an old record album that I was probably decades old by the time I got to it, I was profoundly affected and influenced by the language and became both curious and a student thereafter, and have been doing Shakespeare now for almost 30 years. As a storyteller, it has taught me to keep it simple, stupid, to keep it short and sweet, to get to the point, to the heart of the matter. As a human being, it's reminded me to stay in touch with my feelings above the story that's going on around me, because the feelings move the story forward, one clear emotion, thought to another, rather than just a bunch of jumbled words. It's also true for life. As a drummer and a drumming instructor, my mantra is listen more than you play. And I think that's true for Shakespeare as well. And that's not to say that you can't listen, but the more you listen, the more you can play. And then that becomes a metaphor for life. The more I listen, the more I get to play, almost like a small child. If I listen, if I hear the instructions, then I get to be free. One, I think it takes listening, not just reading the language, but listening to the language. I think the language is so classically colorful and brilliant in terms of the way that it paints a particular image. Many actors think Shakespeare is very lofty, and they go into some lofty headspace about the material. I think it's important to take it out of the blue sky and bring it into the brown dirt or the wooden stage and make it accessible to an audience. I think the actor has to relate to the material and has to make the material relatable, palatable, and receivable for an audience, which means they can't be bigger than the material. They have to allow the material to do the work. And if you do, and this is said about acting in general, and get out of the way and trust that the language will move the story forward, audiences are engaged whether they understand the language or not. I'm a kid who grew up in Compton, and there were many conflicts, if you will, in terms of gangs, poverty, drugs, the environment. And there were times when I thought to myself, there's gotta be something more than this. There's gotta be more to life than this, or why live it? And listening to the language is one of the first Shakespeare pieces I was ever introduced to. It raises the question, and I'm grateful that I get to answer it over and over and over. To be or not to be? That is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing end them. To die, to sleep, no more. And by asleep to say we end the heartache and the thousand natural shocks the flesh is heir to, 'tis a consummation devoutly to be wished. To die, to sleep perchance to dream, aye, there's the rub. For in that sleep of death, what dreams may come when we have shuffled off this mortal coil must give us pause. There's the respect that makes calamity of so long life. For who would bear the whips and scorns of time, the oppressor's wrong, the proud man's contumely, the pangs of despised love, the laws of insolence, or the spurn's patient merit of the unworthy takes, when he himself might his quietus make with a bare bodkin? Who would these fardels bear, to grunt and sweat under a weary life, but that the dread of something after death, the undiscovered country from whose bourne no traveller returns, puzzles the will, and makes us rather bear those ills we have than fly to others we know not of. Thus conscience does make cowards of us all. And thus the native hue of resolution is sickled o'er with the pale cast of thought. With enterprises of great pitch and moment, their currents turn awry and lose the name of action.